What is your not-so-fun fact? Fun fact 1. Andy was a goose who was born without feet on a farm in Nebraska. He was disabled for the first 2 years of his life, until an inventor called Gene Flemings heard about his disability and decided to create a new method of movement for him. He initially tried to teach Andy to ride a skateboard, but eventually settled on teaching the goose to walk in baby-sized sneakers. Since Gene worked with a local charity for disabled children, Andy became a role model and even caught the eyes of the media, with Nike offering a lifetime supply of shoes and the pair featuring on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Fun fact 2. Andy disappeared on October 19, 1991 and was later found with his head and wings torn off. The perpetrator was never found. Fun fact 3. Horses are basically designed to die at a moment's notice with little to no warning. Their colons basically go down to the bottom of their pelvis, then straight up to their anus, so the poop has to travel this incredibly awkward angle to get out. If they get impacted for any reason and can't poop, they can colic and die. If they get tummy bubbles, they can colic and die. If they eat something that disagrees with them, they can colic and die. Basically anything or nothing can make them colic and die. Also, they have to have food traveling their bodies at any given time. Fun fact 4. They are designed to colic and die. And yet most of the time they don't. Fun fact 5. There's a serial killer in my state. Bodies have been found dumped in the same way in the same spot a few miles south of me. It's not been reported to the news at all, but there's public police reports that all describe the same thing. People go about their daily lives in the surrounding neighborhoods and even hike in the park every day. None of them have a clue or something close to a hint that tells them they could stumble upon a body in those woods. Fun fact 6. The reason we know that your body is 70% water is that during WWII, the Japanese took a few Chinese prisoners, weighted them, and stuck them into a giant convection oven. They then weighed the human jerky remains and found them to be around 70% lighter than before. Fun fact 7. The low reflective bumper on the rear of an 18-wheeler trailer is called a Mansfield bar. Fun fact 8. It's named after Jane Mansfield, who died after running into the back of the trailer. Her children, including 3-year-old Mariska Hargitay, were in the backseat. Fun fact 9. The first suicide hotline was created after a man attended the funeral of a teenage girl. She had killed herself after she got her period for the first time and assumed it to be an STD since no one talked about periods at the time. Fun fact 10. There's a type of wasp that burrows into figs, tearing its own wings off as it does so, lays its eggs, then dies. The wasp larvae burrow out eventually. Fun fact 11. Meanwhile, the fig dissolves and consumes the body of the original wasp. Fun fact 13. For generations, the indigenous peoples of South America used blow darts laced with paralytic plant extract to hunt their prey. In the 1800s, English physicians who interacted with these indigenous South Americans recognized the possible uses of this paralytic agent, now known as tobacurarin, as an anesthetic agent for surgeries. Physicians noticed that animals under the influence of tobacurarin would become temporarily immobilized but would recover after a period of paralysis. According to these physicians, this discovery would revolutionize surgery as an anesthetic agent. So confident were they in their discovery that one of the physicians volunteered to undergo surgery under the influence of tobacurarin to demonstrate its effectiveness. Unfortunately, he failed to realize that, although the drug was an effective paralyzing agent, it did not have any effect on the sensory receptors of the body, so he felt every cut of the surgery without being able to move or do anything about it. Edit. Thank you all so much for the likes and the added knowledge regarding the subject that I had no idea about. Horrifying but very interesting. Fun fact 14. If you shine a flashlight out smartphone on a newborn sea turtle for too long, which could be only minutes, it will start crawling around in circles. Known as the Ring of Death, it means that the turtle's eyesight has been permanently damaged due to mistaking your light for the moon that guides it to the sea. By doing this, you have doomed the sea turtle to death right after birth. Edit. Information was given to me by the Sea Turtle Preservation Society in Indialantic, FL during a presentation. Edit. Fun Fact 15. Everyone probably knows this one, but the original voice actor for Ducky in the Land Before Time series was murdered by her father and then he torched the body. I believe her tombstone has Ducky on it as well as one of her lines from the movie. It's been a while since I read about it. Fun Fact 16. Some whales, when old, no longer have enough strength to swim for as long, so if they swim too deep, they might not have enough strength to swim back up to get air, so they end up drowning. Sad face. Edit. Some people smarter than I have pointed out that they technically don't drown, but instead suffocate from the lack of air. This is apparently because whales have to manually breathe instead of it being done automatically. Fun Fact 17. My mom has been a dog groomer for 15 years. I would often bathe the dogs so she can give them haircuts. Part of the bathing process is to squeeze that anal gland. Dogs who don't get groomed often usually are backed up, and I'll tell you, some of them were held in by pressure. I've squeezed a few that absolutely shot across the bathtub. It's black, stinky, toxic ooze. It does not smell pleasant. Fun Fact 18. There's a plant in Australia called the gympie tree that has hairs all over it that are small enough and are compared to hypodermic needles. And whenever a person touches the plant, these hairs stick into your skin and inject a toxin that causes a pain compared to the affected area being covered in acid and set on fire. And what makes it worse is that the pain lasts months to years. Fun Fact 19. You may have heard on several occasions that coal-fired plants release more radiation than a nuclear plants. And it's true, but the reason why is a bit disturbing. Nuclear power plants are closed systems. So, whatever radiation that comes from it has to punch its way through several tons of steel and concrete. Coal-fired plants are not closed systems. They dig stuff out of the ground and burn it, releasing all waste to the air. Coal goes through very minimal processing before it's burned compared to other sources of fuel. After it is dug, the coal is washed, and mostly that gets rid of impurities such as sulfur and rocks of various minerals. However, there always remains a trace of impurities. And those impurities can be made up of naturally occurring radioactive elements such as radium. The presence of radium in coal is usually in very small trace amounts. But when a coal-fired plant burns 9,000 tons of coal every day, it adds up, which means it releases more radiation than a nuclear power plant. And it's more dangerous because that radiation is coming from particles that are just out there, floating around in the air, which you can inhale. BTW. Fun Fact 20. The Spanish flu was one of the most lethal pandemics in history. Edited out the most. There are lots of elements that determine the deadliness of these various diseases and too much uncertainty in death tolls to say for sure which disease was the most lethal. People who caught it bled from their ears, experienced nausea and extreme fever, their skin turned shades of blue, and experienced extreme pain from the slightest touch. It caused internal hemorrhaging. 18 to 35 adults' immune systems, which would typically be considered the strongest, would react so strongly that their bodies would fill up with antibodies and fluid, literally drowning the infected with their own defense mechanism. This happened for a specific reason. See Peakman's comment. Edit. If you are looking for a good source, The Great Influenza by John M. Barry is a good one. Fun Fact 21. If you have two pregnant cows give birth at the same time and one cow's calf dies and the other mother cow dies, leaving her calf orphaned, you can skin the dead calf and drape the skin over the living calf. Then the living mother will believe the orphaned calf is hers by smell and pattern of the skin and feed the calf, keeping it alive. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button for more Reddit stories. Also like, comment, and share to a friend. Until next time, be safe, bye.